to A Man's Journey. I'm Mo Solomons.
And I'm Tshepo. Thank you for joining us today. Today we have Lenia van der Merwe. Perfect. Today we have Lenia van der Merwe joining us, and she's going to tell us a bit more about herself and the work that she does and how she actually got into the media industry.
Welcome, Lenia.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So tell our viewers a bit about yourself, where you come from, how you got where you are.
So I'm originally from Merwe. I'm born and bred. I actually did move to Westbury for a few years. Matriculated at Westbury High. Thereafter, found my first job, which was admin. Time grew on, and then fell pregnant, left the job, and then for 2 years I was at home, and eventually a cousin just said to me, send your CV, they're looking for salespeople. And being desperate as I am, looking for a job, so I ended knowing that I don't have any sales experience, and I went. Luckily, fortunate for me, they actually hired me, and then I started off in sales. From there on, I think it was about five months in sales, doing sales for radio, actually getting advertisement on the radio channel. And then the guy in the graphics department just said, we're looking for a production coordinator. Would you be interested? I'm like, yeah, like I'm just all going with the flow. Yeah. And ended up going there, and that's where I actually started my journey, learning about being behind the camera, video editing, graphic design, and I just took and absorbed everything in because I didn't have any qualifications, but he was willing to feed his knowledge into me, and I was willing to just absorb and take from there and take it from day to day.
That's great, man. At least you're a sponge, like they say, you know. But how did it feel for a woman coming from Noordgesig, Westbury, to actually evolve into such a space?
Like I always believe that there's no accidents, but I felt that he could see something that I couldn't see, even in my disbelief, even in the fact that I kept on thinking I'm a woman, because in this department there was literally just guys. I was the only lady in the department, and not knowing everything, he actually had to keep on saying to me, you can do this. He would give me books and say to me, go and read this book, read about this. And I kept on telling myself, but I don't know anything about this, is complicated. And then eventually I told myself, if I move away from the fact I can't, and I can, because anything is possible, even though I don't know anything. I just need to take and then just absorb it all and then take it from there. And I think I'm grateful for his mentoring in my life, because I wouldn't have learned the things, I wouldn't have gotten excited. There was a lot of, opposites between the fact that I don't know anything and why is she coming to come and tell me that knows everything about, I studied this. Where does she get the right to tell me? And it had to come across as me doing some introspection with myself, saying it's not about my experience, it's not about where I come from, but it's about the capabilities that I have within me to do this task. It's about my drive, my determination to say, yes, you might have the experience, but I have the ability to push through.
Yeah. Most definitely. Sounds like the transition into being a media person was quite hard for you. How is it actually like now, after so long of being in that industry itself?
I wouldn't say it's gotten easy, because media is like you need to learn every day.
Yeah.
There's something new coming. It's like IT. Something new pops up every day. You need to learn. But for me, the biggest struggle is the fact that woman versus men.
Yeah, that was actually one of my things that I wanted to actually ask, you know. I know media is a very male-dominated area, you know, in terms of like from production all the way through, you mainly find male. It's very minimal in a female, and when you came into that male-dominated industry, in the male-dominated industry, how was it for you? Like, besides the fact that like you didn't understand it, were you inferior to the man, or did you feel or believe in yourself and you said, you know what, I'm gonna do this?
I think I don't know how to put this, but I think it was the fact that with some men that I've worked with, they were eager to help me in saying, especially when I think of when I wanted to learn about the camera.
Yeah.
Like some would say, no, you can't put her there, and then like just trust. And then others would say, like, I've learned to deal with the fact that I'm not strong in everything, and I'm strong in this. And I think one of the key things that helped me through learning that I just need to listen to the person that I'm asking it for. And especially with me being a woman wanting to stand behind the camera, it's like, she's a woman, why does she want to do a man's job?
Yes.
Me wanting to lift up the equipment and putting it there was also issues, but it's almost about stop looking at me as the woman, look at me as the one that wants to learn. I'd rather be the learn, just give me the information. And even with the editing, on the editing side, I've learned to realize that my true, my skill in the editing, I might not be able to do the graphics better, I might not be able to do all these emotions, but it's telling the story, and that's where I've learned, let me focus on just telling the story and let someone else come and apply what they do best. So it's all about teamwork.
That is true. Like, if somebody doesn't stand, I know when I came into the media industry, somebody needs to believe in you, but you also need to believe in yourself and put that extra 10 cents in, you know, because they give you 5 cents, put another 5 cents in, make that extra, you know, like Martin Luther King always says, you know, if you do something, do it at your best ability. If you're a cleaner, do it at your best ability. Be the best cleaner, you know, and that is something that needs to come across, no matter if you're female or male, in which if you're male, you go into a female-dominated area, do it at your best ability. If you go from female to male, do it at the best of your ability. Never be afraid of doing that.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. While we're on that, you know, we were speaking earlier about you, like, one thing you said is like, you have this calling. Like, tell us a bit about this calling that you feel that you have.
Yeah, I feel that I'm very passionate for young women, young ladies. Reason being is because I myself is young still, and certain things that I went through that I can relate to when it comes to women. And as the teenage pregnancies are rising, I'm aware of that. I got pregnant at a very young age. It might not be in my teens, but it's young. I was immature, but then I was placed in a position where now I had to take responsibility. And this made me go through a lot of resentment, depression, everything. And as young ladies, we go through these things not knowing where to go to turn to speak to, because our own family is disappointed. And the fact that we don't want to hear the words, I'm disappointed. We don't want to hear the words from our parents, but yet we do hear it when it comes to these things. And it breaks us internally. We might put up the smile, we might laugh, but inside we are broken young women that's going through, and then we still have the responsibility of another individual. And this is the reason why I feel that I have a passion, because I've been through it. I've known how long it took me to get over these things, and you know, to grow and take my brokenness and turn it into something positive.
And speaking of that itself, you are currently working with females, women, to actually empower and inspire them. How actually are you working with them and getting that done?
So we have a program called, it's actually an international program. It's so our church is just being assisting from that spreading over. So the program is from the UK, and our church has been partnering with them. So we run this program called the Esther Academy, and it's 8 different courses where it goes through, and it speaks of you knowing yourself, finding yourself. You know, sometimes there's a spiritual side. We deal with the spiritual and the natural side, because sometimes we don't know how to speak in a certain way, or we don't know how to act in a certain way. These are all natural things we have here on the outside, how to dress, how to put on your makeup, how to do all these things. But then you get the internal side, things that people don't see, and this is where we take these ladies on this journey. But it's not just for young ladies, it's for old ladies as well. But sometimes as women, we might feel that we've arrived and we know it all, but then internally we struggle with these things. We actually speak to letting a woman find their role within a household, because that's so important. Finding the role in the household first before they can find their role in the society. So in the household you get your wife, your child, and the father, but sometimes there's women that's so dominated that they overpower the man in the house. So we identify where you fit in as a woman, and how do you respond, how do you act to society, to men, to individuals, to your children, how do you speak to them? Because even though some of our parents has acted in a certain way towards us, and now we're reacting back because of things they've reacted with us. So this is the type of things we take women through. We speak about courtship, sex, marriage before, dating before you get married, and all these things.
Okay, that's actually beautiful. So it focuses more on your internal well-being.
Yeah, and how you appear on the outside, because if you internally well, then obviously outside you'll appear well. But in my case, I also went through this before I actually took part in. I went through the journey myself, where I had a problem not being confident enough in myself, not being confident enough to say that I have the ability to do these things. I have the ability to impact and empower another woman. I had self-esteem problems, and this journey with the Esther actually helped me, unpack all these things and stepping into who I've been called to be.
Okay, beautiful, man. Beautiful. Now, in terms of cases where you have women who are actually dealing with, e.g., self-confidence, how can they actually be able to take part of the program and join?
Well, they can contact me, and then I'll just obviously speak to them. It depends on when. The program has a set time, so we set the dates. This year we actually started with it, but we had to cancel due to the epidemic, and we'll be doing it next year. After the 8th program, we actually have like a ceremony where we throw a banquet, because now because Esther was a queen, they are also queens. They also went through a journey where they needed to unpack. It's really something that you as a person need to be honest about. When we ask you these questions, and when we tell you these things, you need to take it on and do introspection, because as much as we come and we say to you, this is how you need to perceive yourself, this is who you are, and but if you don't go home and you start speaking this into your life, it will never fully come to pass, because you still have that doubt in the back. So you need to be the person that want to change, that want to make the difference.
That is excellent, man. I just wanted to also find out, is it your program limited to areas, or is it just...
No, it's not limited to areas. We actually started one just before the lockdown. We went down to Cape Town to go and launch it there. So there's one in Cape Town, there's one in Annandale, and there's one in Eikenhof. But people if you feel comfortable coming to the one here in Noordgesig, you can come to Noordgesig, wherever more convenient it is.
Okay. So it is actually accessible. They just have to contact you. Your contact numbers will be on there, or would you like to just say your contact details, how they can get hold of you via email, telephonically?
I'll give it to you guys.
Okay.
Okay,
Perfect then.
perfectly. So we'll add it after the screening.
Is there any message that you would have for any woman, any person in general out there who's dealing with issues, with their inner issues and the outer issues just in general that people face on a daily basis? What motivation or what words of wisdom would you have for somebody else that's, e.g., in a male-dominated industry and they're trying to push and break through? What motivation would you have for them?
So for male, working in the media industry and being a woman, whether it's even in the corporate world, it's very difficult because men tend to be dominating.
Yeah.
But what I've learned is that in most cases, it's better to be. Yes, we also want to be controlled. Yes, we also, as a woman, we want to be in control of certain things.
Yeah.
But sometimes we need to allow them to first make the mistake, the error in judgment, and then they'll come back. In my personal view, I've actually allowed most cases people, men who I've worked with, to actually go and take the route they want to, even though they don't want to listen to me. And then eventually they come back. But when they come back and say, you were right in saying we need to do this, I don't say that I told you so. I say thank you. And in building that relationship with them, they eventually start seeing, but it's not about, so much about her being woman. It's just so much about her knowing and being more coming up with more ideas, looking it from a different perspective, and that has led many men that I've worked with, even my mentor, ask me for their opinion before they made a choice, before they choose to do this, and it's actually brought me so much favor. Where it's really brought me so much favor because now currently where I find myself is that my own boss will ask me for advice before he makes a choice. So to women out there, I would say that whatever situation arises against you, always know that it's not so much about you being right, but it's so much about you just wanting to achieve the greater picture.
Yes.
When you work for someone, it's not about yourself, it's about that company. It's about bringing through the purpose, what you have set out. Whatever target you need to reach, it's about the teamwork. It's not about how you feel. It's never about you, but it's about getting the end results. It's about making impact. It's about bringing the change that whatever mission that company has, vision that company has, it's about working towards that vision and putting your personal sides, your personal views concerning men or women or your employee or your colleague aside and say, I'm here for a goal and I need to work towards this. And at the end of the day, it results in people respecting you because now you've built your character and now you've built integrity to say that it's work. I'm working towards something and I'm pushing this vision through with the owner of the company. So that's, I would just say, push through, put your feelings aside, and know that we all see life differently, and we bump heads, but it's not so much about who's right and who's wrong. It's about the end goal.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time too. Thank you very much for that words of wisdom. As she said, don't make it emotional. Basically, to sum up everything, when you're working with someone, whether male or female, don't make it emotional because work is not an emotional thing. I know you love what you do, but it's not about your view. It's about growing the end goal, the vision, building that vision together. If your idea is better than somebody else's idea, let them fail if they feel that their idea is better than yours. As to all the women out there, you are go-getters. My mother, is my queen. So every woman I'll treat as a queen. Every woman, you are a queen, actually. That is who you are. Your child is a princess. Treat her like that. So thank you for tuning in today to our journey with Ashlyn. And yeah, subscribe to our channel as well as follow us on our socials, which we'll also put on Ashleen's socials for you. So if you want to follow her, you can follow her. Yeah. Anything, Tshepo?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for the time. We really do appreciate having you on the show with us today. And yeah, thank you guys for joining us and have a lovely one.
Thanks.